As legislators on Capitol Hill actively move forward with efforts to literally ban TikTok in the United States, I have to ask, do the 100 million young people, I'm talking about our kids who've spent hours and hours building their TikTok followings, know there is a real possibility of this happening? Are they paying attention? And what happens when they realize it? What happens when millions of kids and teens who spend an average of an hour and a half each day on TikTok realize their videos and followers are about to be inaccessible from the United States? For a lot of people, TikTok is part of how they make a living and how they live their everyday lives. And let me be clear. We've been warning about TikTok on this show, the insidious way the Chinese government has been infiltrating the lives of Americans for years via TikTok, and the vast majority of users being our children. And it has baffled me that only now is the federal government finally seeming to get serious about doing something about it. They were more worried about a spy balloon that probably didn't give the Chinese anything useful, instead of the vast amounts of data on young Americans that the Chinese Communist Party now has access to. But again, if you look at TikTok itself, it seems the only videos about this topic are sort of explanatory. This is what the legislation is type of stuff. Nothing about outrage or even a warning. But now a Senate proposal from yesterday has a real shot at passing. The president has said he would sign it. Now, back in December, you may remember, Florida Republican Marco Rubio authored a bill to ban the app. Companion measure was introduced in the House. Later that same month, Congress passed a ban on TikTok on all federal government phones and devices. President Biden signed it into law just before New Year's. Then in January, Senator Josh Hawley, Republican from Missouri, who'd first sponsored that ban on federal devices, also introduced a similar bill that would ban TikTok completely in the U.S. And last week, the House Foreign Affairs Committee advanced the bill giving the president more power over the app, including banning it himself. But the legislation announced yesterday is the strongest threat so far to the app. A group of bipartisan senators introduced a wide-ranging proposal that would allow the federal government to regulate and, yes, ban technology that comes from 6 countries who are U.S. adversaries, including China and Russia. The bill doesn't just cover TikTok, doesn't even name it directly, which actually means it may stand a stronger chance against any legal challenges rather than if it had been narrowed.
It is widely acknowledged that TikTok's a threat to our national security, but I'm particularly concerned about TikTok's connections to the Chinese Communist Party, which repeatedly spies on American citizens. The Chinese Communist Party has proven over the last few years that it is willing to lie about just about everything.
And the White House is on board with this. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan in a statement saying, quote, "This legislation would empower the United States government to prevent certain foreign governments from exploiting technology services operating in the U.S. in a way that poses risk to Americans, sensitive data, and our national security." So this is serious. Democrats and Republicans, even the White House, finally seeming to come together, and yet none of the TikTokers seem to be noticing, at least to me. Joining me now is Luke Francina, a TikTok influencer with nearly 4 million followers. He even left his job as a software developer to be a full-time TikToker. Luke, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it. All right. So am I overstating this? Meaning, are people like yourself, a lot of the folks on TikTok, acutely aware of how much of a threat this could be to your well-being and your future?
Hey, thank you for having me. Yes, and I can answer that. For me personally, I am aware of this passing. I've been following it closely just because I was confused at first. I thought it was just revisiting the government ban on phones, and then realizing that, oh, wait, this is a complete ban that could potentially happen through this bill that was coming through. So.
Dude, I get the sense, and again, we did a pretty cursory examination of TikTok to try to find, are there any videos of people warning, oh my goodness, let's galvanize together. I didn't see any major influencers who were out there who are speaking up about this, which seems to indicate to me like they're not taking it that seriously.
I can also agree with that. I think this might have something to do with I think towards the end of 2020, when President Trump had mentioned that he wanted it banned, and everyone kind of on TikTok was like, "Oh no, it's happening! It's going to happen!" And then nothing did. So for me, I'm thinking that a lot of people are like, "This is just another one of those things that's come up, and it's not going to happen." Personally, I'm 50-50.
All right.
I'm
So
trying to figure it out.
thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.